Hey everyone, this is Adam McCarthy, and I'm going to share with you my findings from our EDL 854 case study. The title of this was called The Budget Debacle. To give you a summary of the case, I have three different headings here. The first says report what has happened. The second, when and where did certain events occur, and the last is who is or who might be involved in or is a concern by the situation. So to give you a summary of what happened, we have a newly elected president to the Briardale Foundation. His name is Mr. Barely, and he has come up with this great idea to have a cash, I guess, prize during a raffle opportunity. It was going to be held on school property. This is a public school district, and he had gotten this idea in the past from his time where he had been at Harvard, and they had done a similar raffle, and they had a great outcome. They made a lot of money, and so he was wanting to use this money to promote more educational opportunities in the form of specials outside of school. So I have listed there a whole lot of information about what eventually happened because of this. There was a whistleblower, someone had turned him in for starting up this raffle for cash event, and then eventually he was escorted to the sheriff's station and he was given a misdemeanor and put on probation. And then myself, as the principal, is very stressed out and concerned based on the blow up from this raffle that took place. So as we go through and look at the situation as it has been summarized, has anyone been harmed? Well, physically, no, nobody was harmed with this incident, but I do believe that the school's reputation is definitely going to take a hit from this, considering that someone got probation time from this, and there were likely some state laws that were broken by holding this raffle. The next one says, does the action or the situation contravene an existing law? Well, during my own research on this, raffle laws are very different depending on what state you live in. And the state was not specified in this story, but it could go all the way to any kind of raffle is completely outlawed or banned. And then there were some states where, I mean, it's almost anything goes as far as raffles are concerned. So it would be very important to identify those state laws and make sure that we are abiding by those. Here's exactly what's happening in one sentence. The Briardale Foundation had their raffle for cash event shut down by the local sheriff's department for disregarding state laws geared towards raffles. So here's a lot of the facts regarding people, place, and program. Mr. Bailey and his involvement in the decision to run the raffle for cash. It's not only his decision, it was his idea, but it had to be approved by someone, and in this case it was approved by the Briardale Foundation, which he was the president of. Mr. Santos, myself, who was aware of the raffle prior to it taking place and had given Mr. Bailey some orientation opportunities, is not flat out stated that I was completely aware that this was taking place, but I could infer that information based on giving him some orientation opportunities. I'm guessing that with the big importance on those specials and raising money for that, that was something that maybe had come up during that conversation of orientation. In the case where that is incorrect information and I was not made aware of this, then that's going to change a lot of things completely, and we'll get into more of that later. The place where this took place was the Briardale Elementary School, which is a public elementary school. The school district itself was another big setting for this story, and we know that this is a pretty successful school district based on a lot of the information they give us right at the beginning of the story, telling us that they are able to hold on for a lot of their staff members for many years. They have a diverse population of students. Parents offer a lot of support. Those are some good indicators that this is a pretty successful school district that we're dealing with. And again, the program that this was for, this was the Briardale Foundation raising money for these specials for students outside of school. This includes things like music, art, and foreign language. And being a Harvard grad, Mr. Barely was wanting to expand the specials even further based on the success that they had already found through those with the students in the district. And so now we're going to look at review and prioritize information. It says, could the conflict, the situation, or the decision be damaging to the stakeholders or to the community? Yes, we potentially conducted an illegal activity on school grounds, maybe even with my permission, definitely with the foundation's permission. So there's definitely some damages that could come from this, mainly in the form of our reputation. Did not state whether or not the school was going to be fined for this, but I'm sure we're going to have some pretty upset community members because of it. Can more be learned about the situation? Is enough information given to make a decision? I said there are a couple more things I would like to know. What are the exact state laws regarding raffles that Briardale Elementary is a part of? Is this something where this, is all on the sheriff's department and they made a mistake? Maybe they didn't know state laws. Based on the story, I assume that's not the case, but it's still a good question to ask, I think. And was I made completely aware of the decision beforehand? Again, that's a huge thing. Again, it was not flat out stated that, Mr. Bailey came and talked to myself about, the raffle, and I gave it the A-OK without looking up state laws, without consulting my superintendent or the community, anything like that. So that's another big question that needs to be answered. Next one is identify your options and possible consequences. So there are basically three things. I added in a fourth one there at the bottom, about possible things that could be done. So the first one is, maybe remove Mr. Barely from his position. Maybe he was completely aware of what he was doing. It did state in the beginning of this story that he was very competitively spirited because a former student that he was a student with over at Harvard was also the president of kind of an education foundation in a different district, and Mr. Bailey was looking to outdo this other school district and this other individual. So maybe he was driven without the student's best interests in mind, and maybe that's a decision I choose to make, is to remove him from that position. Another one would be to look at the educational foundation members who gave the A-OK on this or gave the thumbs up that, hey, we're good to go on the cash for raffle. I really think they should have looked at the laws better. They should have looked at budgeting and finance, and they definitely should have consulted school secretaries who specialize in finance to be able to make a decision of whether this was a good idea or not. The third option I have listed there is that we just need to all get together, Mr. Bailey, myself, maybe the superintendent, as well as everybody on the foundation team, and we just need to have a big discussion on, let's use this as a learning opportunity. Yes, there was a misdemeanor given for this. Yes, someone was taken to the sheriff's office. But how can we learn from this? How can we grow as a district? What could we have done differently? And maybe do something different next time so that way we don't have the same outcome. And more along the lines of using this experience, turning it in from a negative into a positive thing. That's another possible thing that I believe as a principal could be done. And then lastly, seek advice from superintendent. Myself, I'm not even a principal yet, but if I was in the shoes of this principal, considering I might be someone newer, I would definitely want to consult my superiors and ask them for advice. Hey, what do you guys think that I should do as principal in order to get the best outcome? So I kind of already evaluated all those different options on the last slide through my discussions. But I have expanded on those, probably even more so just in the reading there, about my thought process behind them. So without kind of rehashing everything that I just went over in the last slide, I'll give you the opportunity to pause the video there if you want to, and you can look even more in depth about how those different options could be evaluated. In this case, I believe the best option is option 3. To use this as a learning opportunity, not to remove anybody from a position, not to fire anyone from the foundation, maybe not even to I guess, remove people from any type of positions. What I would do is I would definitely get everybody together. I would also get the community involved in this because I would want their feedback and I would want them to feel involved in this as well. But we would have a big, you could call like a Board of Education even meeting that was open to the public, or kind of like a state of the district address, and just kind of let the public know, hey, here is what happened, instead of a lot of questions floating around and a lot of unknown variables existing. As principal, I could head this up with the superintendent and we could inform the community, we could inform Mr. Berlin, we could form the foundation like, here's exactly what happened, here are the laws we broke, here's where we went wrong with collecting cash and financing this cash raffle. And so that way, we would know for the future, maybe raffles are completely illegal in our state. It doesn't matter if it's a cash raffle, instead of giving a raffle or items that are monetary value instead of like a flat check or cash amount. I mean, maybe we just can't even have raffles. That's something that we would look up and we would address not only to the foundation and to Mr. Barely, but also the community. And as a principal myself, when I fill that role someday, um, having empathy for situations like this is something huge. I am aware that everybody makes mistakes, especially for someone like Mr. Barely, who is brand new to this position. I would have liked to seen him consult me specifically, though, especially since I kind of gave him an orientation of what to expect from this position. I would hope to have been his mentor there and have him ask, hey, do you think this cash raffle event is a good idea or not? I mean, I think it is. It's going to generate a lot of funds. But even if he did think that, I kind of feel like my toes were stepped on and he kind of went over me by not consulting me first. So that's something that I would address with him. Doesn't necessarily mean I have to get all bent out of shape and upset with him, but it is a concern that I would have, and I would have to let him know how I feel. But I really do think that we could use this experience to grow better as a district, and even a reflective opportunity for myself as principal. Where did I go wrong? I mean, maybe I should have been more involved with him. Maybe it's not his fault at all. Maybe it's more on me. So that's kind of the approach that I would take to handling this situation. And again, to make sure that here on out we are doing things that are generating funds and adding to our budget that we know are approved by the state, and we know that we are handling it correctly. Maybe we do a different type of raffle in the future, making sure that those funds are secured. We're accounting for everything, and we are having people who are in leadership roles, whether it is the president of the foundation, myself as principal, or my assistant principals, or a superintendent of the district. We're having people monitor where those funds are going, how it's being generated, and how we're distributing out prizes to the recipients of the award for the raffles. So that's pretty much it for my EDL 854 case study. I always enjoy these kind of opportunities. It really gets me excited to be a principal someday because, a situation like this could really occur. And so it's fun to evaluate those and kind of think about what would I really do there. But thank you guys for watching this review of my EDL 854 case study, and I look forward to seeing all of yours as well. Thanks.